Hello students, welcome to today's session. This is Sweta, your English Master Teacher at Vedantu, and today we will be starting with From the Diary of Anne Frank, which is from your Cbse class 10th, and I'm sure you would all enjoy reading this because this is from a teenager, a girl, the diary of a young girl, right? And this is Anne Frank. She's a girl of your age, so definitely all of you can relate to her experiences of growing up because all of you are at that juncture of adolescent, that is just on the verge of reaching your adulthood. So definitely you all will enjoy her experiences, and especially we all are here, in this pandemic situation. We were few months back we were in a lockdown situation, so we have something to relate with the experience of Anne Frank because she also was in a lockdown situation. Let us see how, and let us learn first about Anne Frank, because Anne Frank was, Anne Frank is not a fictional character. She was present. I mean, she is a real character. So let us first know who Anne Frank was, right? So the historical background, and then we will be reading an excerpt from her diary, right? From the diary of Anne Frank. So, yes, we would be reading an excerpt from her diary. Let us quickly look at who Anne Frank is. She was uh, a German Dutch diarist of Jewish origin, okay, and one of the most discussed Jewish victims of the Holocaust. Now, what is this Holocaust? Let us look at it from a depth, okay, and she gained fame with the publication of The Diary of a Young Girl. So this was her diary, and we are reading an excerpt from her this famous diary, right? In which she had documented her life in hiding. So as I told you, lockdown. So yes, we could definitely relate to her. From 1942 to 1944, during this period of time, she was hiding. Now, why was she hiding? Do you know the historical background? Why was she hiding? Who was she hiding from? Quickly let me know right now in the chat box before we proceed with the historical background. What do you know about Anne Frank? Do let me know your inputs quickly right now in the chat box. Okay, moving ahead, she's a symbol of resilience and lost innocence in the face of Holocaust. Now, what is this Holocaust? We will right now know. She was born in 1929 in Frankfurt in Germany. She's the youngest of a Jewish family, youngest daughter. Okay, the Nazi Party, Hitler and the Nazi Party. So you all know who Hitler was, right? And the Nazi Party. You have done that, I think, in your social studies, right? So Hitler and the Nazi Party rose to power when in 1933. The Frank family moved to Amsterdam. Okay, in 1940, Netherlands, that is now which is Holland, was invaded by the Nazis. So these Nazis invaded Netherlands, where and then what happened? The condition of the Jews in Holland was deteriorating. And if you remember, she was a Jew, right? Frank family tried to move to US but was restricted by the immigration policy. So although they tried to move to the US, but they were not allowed to do so. Then, what was the condition of the Jews at that point of time when there was the Nazi occupation? They were stripped of all their rights, forbidden from attending schools, shopping malls. Okay, then they were not allowed to use the public transport, right? And they were being sent to concentration camps. Okay, now because of these increasing difficulties, so we are here facing difficulties because of a pandemic, right? Because of the virus. Similarly, we can absolutely relate to Anne Frank's situation because she was also facing difficulties because of the Nazi occupation and because of the Holocaust, right? That is, Holocaust is mass killing of the Jews. So the Nazis, they believed in the German, they believed that the Germans were the true Aryan blood, and it is only the Germans who would rule the land, and the rest should be eliminated, especially the Jews, because they thought that the Jews were polluting the pure blood of the Aryans, and Germans considered them as the pure Aryan blood, right? So that is why they were mass killing. There was this mass killing of the Jews that was happening. So that is the Holocaust. And in 1942, Anne Franks, they they fled to the secret place, right? What was this secret place? The warehouse of the company. It looked like this, right? And where Anne's father Otto worked. So Otto Frank used to work in the company, and that had a warehouse. So they secretly selected that place for hiding, right? So they had us now. How would they survive in that place? How would they get supply from outside? They had a small group of friends who brought them supplies, right? But the friends and others couldn't ever leave the annex. They lived in constant fear, just as we lived in constant fear of the pandemic. We were all in a lockdown situation. Similarly, they also lived in a constant fear of being taken away to the concentration camp. And tragically, what happened was their hiding ended when in August 1944 the Nazis were finally taken. The Nazis finally sent all of them to concentration camps. The Franks were taken to this place, Auschwitz in Poland, and later Anne and her sister Margot was sent to concentration camp in Germany, right? And in late winter or early spring, both died. Okay, most likely of typhus. So both of them died of typhus when in 1945, when after that, after they being taken to the concentration camp, right? Now the only one from the annex who survived was Otto Frank, Anne's father. So he was the only person to survive the war. Okay. After the end of the war, he returned to Amsterdam, and one of the women who bought them food, remember they were supplied food from outside, right? So one of the women who brought them food was my guys. She gave him a pile of paper and documents that she had rescued from the annex, and among those papers was her diary, about which we are now going to read. And now, Anne Frank, the diary of a young girl. So firstly, first what happened, Otto Frank was astounded to read. Actually, this diary was a present given to and by Otto Frank on her 13th birthday. And Otto Frank, when he discovered the diary, finally after he came back and it was handed over to him by my guys, he was astounded to read such amazing and such mature lines in the diary, right? So what happened was he wanted to make the diary wide, bring the diary to a wider public, right? So it was first published in Netherlands in 1947, and it eventually came out in America in 1952. Now, Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl, this was the title. Okay, it remains one of the widely read books across the globe, right? So if you ever get a chance to read this entire diary, because we will be doing is just an excerpt from the diary, right? So if you ever get a chance of reading the entire diary, I would suggest you to read that. It's a very beautifully written piece. It is translated into 60 languages and over 30 million copies are in print. That justifies its popularity. That justifies how lovely that writing would be. So please do read it if you ever get a chance. So today we will be analyzing the first half of the story, and the next session will be analyzing the second part and along with the important question answers. So I would like to share a beautiful quote written by Anne Frank. If you read the diary, you will find this quote there. Look at how a single candle can both defy and define the darkness. How meaningful, how deep. Being a 13-year-old girl, being able to think so deeply and producing these beautiful lines. So this quote itself, just one quote itself can, make you interested in reading the entire diary, right? So a single candle can both defy, that is challenge, and define the darkness, right? How beautiful and how deep. Try and understand this quote. Let us proceed with the chapter. Now, the author, that is Anne, she feels strange and unusual. Now, this can be asked as your question also, that why does she feel, uh, you know, uh, what is so strange about writing a diary? Okay, so then, first of all, because she was doing this for the first time, and second is she thought that nobody is going to ever read her diary, right? So nor she herself would again go back and read what she has written, right? So this writing was very strange and unusual experience for her. Then she puts these thoughts away and finally writes. And then she also thinks that paper has much more capacity to absorb thoughts than people. So paper have more patience. Paper has more patience than people. If you are told in your question, I mean, you can be asked this question, justify. Paper has more patience than people. This is a very famous line from this entire extract, right? So people have low patience levels, but when a piece of paper, when you put down your thoughts on a piece of paper, it is not going to question you, neither it is going to judge you. But people would do so, and you could also not rely on people and open up all your secrets because you cannot trust, right? So Anne Frank also, although she had many people around her, but she could trust very few. I mean, she could not trust her friends, and she could not openly talk and share about her feelings. And being an adolescent, you all have so many feelings, mixed feelings you have, right? Because you have now at this point, you're on a threshold from this childhood to hitting your puberty to reaching the adulthood, right? So at this point, you undergo so many physical changes, psychological changes, right? And you feel like you talk to someone about these, right? So but you do not know how people are going to judge you, or maybe they do not have the patience to listen to you, right? But if you actually write down or pen down your thoughts on a paper, then that is the best way. At least that is what Anne found, and I think that is quite true. So this realization came to her one day when she was feeling sad and confused. This happens. This is a characteristic of adolescent. Okay, so when you are on an adolescent, or you are in your adolescence, so sometimes you may not feel good. Sometimes you may feel mood swings happen, right? So you may feel confused. What is going on? What am I? All these kinds of different thoughts occupy you, right? Same was so at that point of time you need someone to actually pour all your feelings out. So that best friend was her diary that was given to her by her father on her 13th birthday, right? So whom she calls her real friend. She even names that diary as Kitty. She then says that she needs a friend. Okay, she has a loving family near 30 people that she can call friends, but one thing is the presence of true friend with whom she can share everything, right? That is what she feels. And then what happens is gets a gift. Okay, so this is her best friend. Question: what name was given by Anne to her friend? Quickly let me know in the chat box. Very simple, very simple. Then she refers to her father. Now she starts describing her family members to her friend diary, that is Kitty. She names her diary as Kitty, and she calls Kitty as her best friend, and now she describes about her family members to her best friend. Just as you would also introduce your family members to your best friend, similarly she's now introducing her family members. So she talks about her father whom she loves. Her father married her mother when he was at age of 36 and she was 25. She and her sister Margot both were born in Frankfurt. Both sisters stayed with their grandmother in Aachen for some time and then later moved with the parents in Holland. Right? She also talks about her grandmother. And yes, let me tell you that when she talks about her grandmother, she also mentions how much she loved. She loved her grandmother so much that after her grandmother's death, she became so upset that she even stopped making entries in her diary. So that affected her a lot. And when it was her birthday, she lighted up a candle for in the memory of her grandmother, right? And then finally she recovered gradually, and when she recovered from that effect, she started writing about her grandmother's love. And yes, so that was the kind of bond that she shared with her grandmother. So yes, this was all about her family that she had mentioned, and here we are going to end the session, and in the next session we will be talking about the um, what she said about her schooling. So this was all she said about her family, and now we will be only concentrating about her school. Okay, so that we will be doing in the next session. I hope in today's session the historical background that we have discussed and about the family that she had written in her diary is absolutely clear. The most important question that you need to understand from here is about paper has more patience than people. How and why does she feel writing a diary as a very strange experience. And question number three is about your family. So please prepare these three questions from whatever we have done today. That will really help you out. And I have a homework question for all of you. What did Anne say about her family? Do mention this in the question in the chat box, and also prepare the questions of the first one. Paper has more patience. Okay, and okay, this is another question. And next question is, this is, let's say, question number one, sorry, three. This is one. Okay. And the last question that I want you to answer is, why was writing a diary a strange experience? Okay. Okay, so these three questions are enough for today. Please put down your answers in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed and you could really relate somewhat, at least for the part of that lockdown situation, right? So choose your grade 10th CBSE and then check out the details. Click on get subscription. You have three types of subscription, guys, and you're going to get complete 50% off. And if you use this coupon code SWREPRO. Okay guys, thank you for watching. Do hit the like button and share this video with your friends so that they also can completely know about the history of Anne Frank and relate with Anne Frank, because that is a diary of a young girl. So yes, that is about you people, right? You all are young boys and girls, so definitely you could relate to her life story. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye. See you all in the next session again.